Hello, fellow travel enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of Travel-Preneur. I'm your host, Megan McSwain. Today, we're joined with Shane Mahoney, the luxury lifestyle specialist at Lugos Travel. Welcome to the show, Shane.
Thank you.
Shane, how does Lugos Travel go beyond the ordinary in crafting personalized travel experiences?
Thank you for the question, because I think we're vastly different than a lot of other agencies out there. To put a finer point on it, I feel like I almost have to explain to the audience the way that the system is for everybody so that you understand the differences of what we have. All of this was born because I think all of us are pretty used to Amazon's model of I want something, I have it. Make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So every single travel company that does luxury travel has pretty much the exact same system. It's a web form that leads to a phone call, typically about an hour long. And 3 to 5 business days later, you will get one proposal. If you make any changes, it's another 3 to 5 days to get an update. And this process goes back and forth for typically about 3 weeks. Make sense so far?
Right. Yes.
So this is how we're different. I realized that people are not calling their travel professionals the day after they decided to go ahead and travel. So what really happens is that people kick the can down the road for 1, 2, 3 months until an event reminds them that they don't have any plans for the summer. And it's at that particular point that they reach out to a travel professional, meaning that their stress of the client is already kind of up to their neck, if you will. And it's at that point that now you're initiating a 3-week process. It's just untenable. We didn't want that. So our main focus at Lugos Travel is to remove as many of the stress points as possible so that people can lead happy lives with their families up until and through their travels. And so here's what our process is, and this is what sets us apart. Lugos Travel can offer over 70 tour proposals in over 20 countries in under 10 minutes with prices that are good for any day of the year, meaning that you can get 100% of the information that you want in less than an afternoon. You can craft and customize that tour in any which way that you wish. You can sign the proposal and understand that you can go any day of the year, even Holy Week, even Christmas to New Year. You can go in June, you can go in July. It doesn't matter to us at all. There are no blocks. And so at that point, once you have secured your tour, the only thing our clients are responsible for is being at their front door at the time we tell them to be ready, because we have a private car that's going to pick them up, take them to the airport, and everything about their vacation is on cruise control.
Wow. That sounds like a vacation.
Our process we call a vacation from planning a vacation.
Yeah. And people forget that you need that because just planning one gets so stressful. And the fun of the trip is the anticipation, right? So when you're stressed about it and you've got all these things that you've got to check the boxes before the actual trip, you're exhausted by that point.
Well, our supposition is that we deal with a lot of executive couples and families, people who have busy lives and are constantly trying to fit the stresses of their jobs, their family, their friends into this matrix of what we call a life. And they want to have a great vacation. But the truth and the reality is that every single company in the world is showing you the pretty pictures, the Instagrammable spots and all the stuff. But the reality is that booking that vacation is super stressful and it takes a lot of back and forth. Ultimately, what I really found was that people who are put in this stressful situation are going to pick something that's suboptimal for themselves, because it is always better to have a plan as opposed to having no plan. Definitely. You'll take a bad plan over no plan. And so having all this back and forth is just wasteful and it doesn't make sense.
Can you share an example of a trip where Lugos Travel's planning and attention to detail turned an ordinary vacation into a really unforgettable, stress-free experience?
I could probably tell a ton. We've been in business for 12 years and we've sent thousands of clients all over the world. But ultimately, I think what this comes down to is the value equation. And most people equate the value equation with how much they spend on their vacation. And chiefly what they're looking at is the difference between what would it take if I book it myself and hiring a professional. And I think that's a really interesting thing to be able to really pick apart, because for one, you have to realize as the client, what is your actual time worth? because the realities of booking international travel is approximately 40 to 60 hours of your time if you're doing it on the level that we do it. So if you value your time at even just $100 or $200, you're spending an extra $4,000 to $8,000 of your money to plan your trip. Now, here's the thing. Here's where it comes down to it. How are you going to surprise yourself? You're not. You can't, right?
Right.
And then furthermore, here's how we really deliver on that service. What you get with us is not just the planning and the putting all the pieces together. It's the real-time emergency management situations. So to answer your question more directly, how have we far and above beyond what was necessary? So we include private English-speaking transportation anytime your luggage is going to be with you. We also include it anytime it's more than 20 minutes from point to point. But in this particular case that I want to tell your audience, we had clients that were leaving their hotel, they were going to the train station, and the train station was taking them to another city. And then we had another car to pick them up and take them to the new hotel. This is a very simple and very streamlined process that most of the time works great. Here's the thing, is that morning at 2 a.m. their time, we were notified that there was going to be a train strike and that it was going to directly affect their travels. Now,
Wow.
I don't know anybody in the world who raises their hand and says, you know what, when there's an emergency on my vacation, I'd like to be the one to take care of it. Nobody does
Right.
that, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so here's what the experience was like for my clients. It could have been that if they booked it themselves, they woke up to an emergency they needed to solve and quick. But instead, because they booked through us, they got up, they had their breakfast, they got into the car that they knew they were going to get into. And it was at that moment that they were notified that they were not going to go to the train station. We had already arranged for the limo driver to take them all the way to the new destination. And because it had been so far away, we actually also negotiated to include a small 2-hour tour in a town along the way where they could also have a little lunch, relax, get out of the car, stretch their legs. And so it became an experience in and of itself to not have their train. And they showed up at their hotel and everything was good and they got to continue their vacation. So if you understand the value of booking with a travel professional, it's understanding that we have the ability to do far more in less time and create a better experience for you with surprises that actually mean something to you, while also managing all of the changing aspects of travel that can happen on the fly.
That's a really great example because I'm going to be honest, what you just said happened to me and my parents when we were traveling in Greece before COVID several years ago. But it was a strike. I think it was like a taxi cab strike or some sort of strike where we woke up and we were like, what is going on in this different country? And we didn't know what to do. I mean, so that's a really good example because it does happen. And most people don't know kind of navigate through that. So
Well, I've been
that's
trying to
great.
educate as many people as possible right now because I think, you just mentioned something from pre-COVID, and we really have to understand the market that we're in right now.
Right.
And what happened is that thousands of travel professionals throughout the industry, from hotels to flight attendants to guides to you name it, lost their job, took other opportunities, and basically
Right.
switched their careers. So there is far fewer support staff across all parts of the travel sphere right now. And couple that with record number of people who want to go. And so there are built into the system right now guaranteed things that will fail. We don't know when and we don't know where, but we know that they will. And we're constantly being responsive to being able to create the experience for our clients that they don't even have to know about the problems. They just get to have a good experience. And I think ultimately, that's the way that we can change people's lives and make a better system for the entire process.
This episode is brought to you by Travel-Payments.com. Travel businesses have unique needs when it comes to credit card processing. From large average ticket sizes and tolerance for higher chargeback ratios to simple integrations with the most popular shopping cart systems, the travel industry specialists at Travel-Payments.com have you covered. Unfortunately, many of the most popular credit card processors initially accept travel businesses, but without warning, freeze their merchant accounts and the thousands of dollars in them because these service providers don't understand or support the unique needs of travel industry business. Don't get stuck with one of the big guys who will freeze you out without a moment's notice. Instead, work with a travel industry specialist who will support your business every step of the way. Visit travelpayments.com to get a free quote today. Safety is a top priority in luxury travel. How does Lugos Travel ensure the safety of its clients while maintaining that element of adventure and indulgence?
Oh, I love that you asked that. So Lugos is a question that I normally get because my last name is Mahoney. It's not Lugos. So a lot of people think that it was come from my name. I actually am a bit of a history nerd, and Lugos was the ancient god of all arts and the protector of all travelers in ancient Gaul before Julius Caesar conquered that area. He renamed
Okay.
the god to Mercury, and I think we all know him, right?
Right.
So Lugos was how I started my company because I thought that there was a really distinct opportunity for the American market to understand safe travels. I think we all can relate to wanting to make sure that we're okay. But being okay is not just about like not being robbed or things like that. It's also about feeling comfortable with things like, hey, I'm going to need to use the restroom. Am I going to have a problem doing that in this town? Right? Like
Right.
those are legitimate concerns because, you know, if you've ever had to go to the bathroom, you know that that's sort of an emergency too, right? So we do a number of things throughout the entire process to create a seamlessly safe experience for our clients. And I can give you a couple of top line things that means. For one, we're going to register 100% of our international clients with the US State Department. It's an added layer of safety that allows the US government to know who you are, where you are, and more importantly, how to get a hold of you should things happen. I mean, the
Right.
people who were most recently in Israel were keenly aware of how the US government can really help in a situation like that. So that's number one. Number two, we use an in-house app that we use to be able to give our clients up-to-date information at all points. So if anything about your itinerary changes, we can actually push that notification directly to your phone so that you have immediately updated information. That means that you're not wasting time being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
We do a number of things also throughout our email process to let people know how much cash to bring, how to pack, fashion guides on what to wear and where to wear them, whether it's hot weather, cold weather, wherever you are. They're country specific, and we have lots of different information. So we take a lot of care to go above and beyond to create a safe experience for our clients, not only from the perspective of their physical safety, but their mental safety and knowing that they're going to be comfortable in new environments and understanding that they're going to be okay. Another thing that we do is English speaking drivers. I've been asked, like, why do you say English speaking every time? I'm like, well, because if you need something, if you see a store that you'd like to stop at, if you
Right.
have any needs whatsoever, isn't it nice to be able to look to the driver and say exactly what you want and know that that's going to
Right.
be able to be happening?
Yeah, I think you don't realize that until you're in a situation where you need that. And then you realize, oh, okay, this would have been helpful. So that app is something that when people work with you, they sort of download and that's kind of what they use throughout the process.
Yeah, so we actually give people access to the app about 1 or 2 days after we do the onboarding meeting, because
Hmm.
one of the things you mentioned earlier was building anticipation. We have a countdown clock that goes
Yeah.
directly to the moment you leave. So
Yeah.
from the moment you book with us, you're going to know exactly how long it is until you leave. But
Okay.
throughout the app, it's really built out to be able to create a better experience. How do I mean by that? We have all your flight information, we have all your
Hmm.
tours, transfers, phone numbers. We have everything in one place, a gratuity guide to let you be
Hmm.
comfortable knowing how much to tip for certain things. We're tracking weather. We have a map function where we've also added information that clients may want to use if they don't book additional services. I'll give you a finer tip on that. So we have some of our itineraries that have days at leisure where there's no particular plan. If you have no particular plan, you may not know what you want to do. So our map function actually also has points of interest, historical sites, restaurants, bars, all that have been pre-vetted by our team and
Wow.
show up on our map. So that's not everything that's available. It's only the things that we've curated to know that they're
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
You get immediate information. Plus, on the map, it has directions. Will tell you how to get there by walking or by car or however. So you can
Wow.
actually have no plan and still create your own experience with our app, knowing that you're going to be in good hands and that you have the full ability to not only get to where you want to be, but to get back to your hotel at the end of the day as well.
Right. You mentioned places that you've vetted. Lugos Travel collaborates with exceptional partners. How do you vet those partners to ensure that same level of professionalism and local knowledge? How do you kind of go about that? Do you guys go in advance? Sort of what's your process there?
Yeah, this is something that, considering the audience is more technical based, I think this is something we can explain a little bit better. It's my experience that travel agencies throughout the United States are working with travel partners, and they have no formal contracts, no definable system for who they are, what their clients should get. And so what you get is, you put out, like, the average travel professional puts out a quote, they get the information, they send that to the client, and that's pretty much the end of the story. We are not a travel agency, we're a tour operation. And so we take things a lot more seriously. And before we work with a travel partner, we actually have an extensive vetting process and a multi-page process and contract that clearly defines every single piece and part of what we want, how we want it, where we want. I'll give you a great example. So a lot of companies don't offer this, but we do. And it's a personal photographer. We
Oh,
offer this
wow.
in 1, 2, or 3 different times of your trip. And we offer it in 2-hour increments every single time. Now, this is where most companies would stop. I hired a photographer. Here's the client. Go take some pictures. That to me is just not enough, right? Because ultimately, vacation photography, I think we can all agree, generally sucks. It's arm in arm with your person with something over
Right.
your left or right shoulder and a cheesy fake smile, right? It's either a selfie or you hand your camera to a perfect stranger and just
Stranger.
play a
Right.
lot of hoping, right?
Right.
So
Right.
what we wanted to do is, we wanted to craft really good pictures, but we wanted to get the genuine smiles of people. We wanted them to be in the moment without somebody telling them chin up, arms back, do this here, yada,
Right.
yada, right? And so our contracts for just the photographers specifically define that our photographers are supposed to do a paparazzi style shoot with medium to long range lenses. They're supposed to stay out of the client's way. They're supposed to be across the street, getting those shots with the right
Wow.
backgrounds as the client is experiencing what they're there to experience, so that we get the real people in the real moment, not some fake cheesy thing.
Right.
And ultimately, what we found is that our clients not only love this package and have great photographs from the session, but a lot of our clients are choosing to blow up and hang those pictures on canvas in their living room. And I think we can all agree that is a rarefied case we've ever been in anybody's house and seen their vacation pictures blown up big, right? It's just
Right.
not.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. They tend to be awkward, or if a stranger takes them, they're just never as good as, might not be exactly what you wanted. And in this day and age where you can take thousands of pictures to no end on your iPhone, it would be nice if you had one that you could blow up. That's
Yeah.
a really great idea.
So when our clients come back from that experience, we not only create a hardcover leather bound album with all of their pictures, but we also give them
Wow.
all the digital stills. We get them an experience, not just a photographer. And so
Right.
being
That's
able to
amazing.
take all of the different facets and clearly define them in legal terms and have our partners sign off on those things is what sets us apart. And every single one of our partners knows at a DNA level exactly what it means to travel with Lugos Travel.
What is your plans for the future? I mean, clearly you guys have an app, you're very ahead of the curve, but kind of what is your vision for making the world of travel easier for your clients moving forward?
That's a tough question. I feel like we've made it really easy. I mean,
Yeah.
for putting a finer point on it, anybody can go to our website. They can pick any destination and any tour. We have a yellow box. You fill that information in, and within 10 minutes, you have a proposal. So that's pretty easy. Subsequent to that, we only require throughout the entire process 3 meetings: one to get your personal information so that we can make your bookings, one to go over your final balance, and one to go over your itinerary. We provide 100% of all other support if you need it in between, but we really have cut all the things down to the absolute minimum. What I
Bare
really want
minimum,
our
right?
clients to do is to stay present in their lives. I want
Right.
them to be good parents. I want them to be excellent employees. I want them to spend the time either with their family or making a lot of more money. So they don't have to be experts in travel. I want people to have a good experience without having to know anything about it. Like you can go to the opera and enjoy it without knowing how to sing, but so
Right.
many people spend so many countless hours trying to be experts at travel. There's just too many variables over too many different places and pieces for anybody to be that proficient at it if they don't do it all the time.
Right. And what advice, if any, would you offer to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to be luxury lifestyle specialists or kind of find their role in this space?
Well, actually, we're in the process of creating this. It's not ready yet, but perhaps, while your later audiences will be listening to it, it might be. Our intention is to create an agency in a box so that you can essentially start your own agency, but using all of our back ends. You could have Mega's travel agency. And as long as you can send people to that, we would take care of 100% of the processes in the background to
Wow.
make sure your clients have a great experience. That's the long-term vision. In the short-term
Sure.
vision, we do have an affiliate system. So for anybody who has networks of people that love to travel and they'd like to take advantage of that, we actually offer two different plans. You can either get cash payment for each client you bring us, or you can do it for travel credit. And we basically make the process really, really simple for you to share the good news with your people about how easy it is to travel.
Cool. Well, Shane, thank you so much for sharing so much about Lugos Travel. It sounds like there's no other way to travel than with Lugos Travel. I mean, it sounds really, really easy and convenient. Let our listeners know where they can learn more about the company and where they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So the easiest way is ShaneMahoney360.com.
Okay.
ShaneMahoney360.com. That's SHANE, Mahoney like MA Honey, 360.com. And on that site, anybody can book time on my calendar. They can see all of our travel properties. We actually have 3 travel companies that we encompass underneath the Lugos Travel brand. And you can check out videos, podcasts, any and all things. This podcast will be live on that site as well. So we
Excellent.
like to offer a lot of resources for people to be able to get the information that they need.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Shane. And to our listeners, thank you for listening. Please follow and subscribe for future episodes and leave us reviews. That helps us out a lot. Thanks so much, Shane. Take care.
Thank you.